So today we are going to be diving into the exciting world of gaming. Whoop whoop. So I have been a freelance project manager for over 6 years, and one of the sectors I have loved and enjoyed has been gaming. So we are going to explore what it is like to be a freelance project manager in the gaming industry. So let's start by talking about the gaming industry as a whole. Now, this is a billion-dollar industry. So in 2023, reports came out that the industry was worth as a whole $221.4 billion. Now this is huge, and the expectation of the gaming industry is that it's only going to grow. What that means for you, aspiring project managers, is that there is going to be so much opportunities for project managers to break into this particular sector. A lot of the time, people are using games as a way of escapism. They're using games to socialize with other people. So this industry is just completely skyrocketing. I feel like sometimes when we think about gaming, we think about engineers, we think about creative, artists, we think about all of these different elements, but we don't always think about project management. Project management within gaming is so vital and critical to any kind of gaming asset, whether it's in-game assets or whether it's a video animation that is housed on social media to tease you into introducing you to a new character. All of these assets are so important for the overall success of a particular game. So never underestimate gaming and its potential for you as a project manager. So there's quite a few different types of projects you could work on. You could work on video animation, you could work on design and illustration projects, you could work on a gameplay capture that's going to be placed onto social media. There are so many different elements of gaming and projects that you could work on. And the best thing about gaming is that these assets are really fun and entertaining. You can work with huge celebrity sponsorship deals, so the scope is very wide. You could choose to work for a creative agency that specializes in gaming clients. You could also work for a actual gaming company like Epic Games or Activation Blizzard, where they actually own these particular games. Do you need a background in gaming to get into project management within the gaming sector? No, you do not. Did I? No, I did not. So when I had my first interview for the first role that I had within gaming, I was not asked at all about my background in gaming. I wasn't even asked if I play games. So they were more interested in my communication skills, how I stay organized, how I respond to difficult situations, and how I manage projects from a real holistic perspective. So looking at the overall picture, I just think it's really important that you show a real willingness to learn. You show that you're a great listener, that you can communicate effectively, that you can look at a project from a holistic perspective, and again, you just have that real willingness to learn every element of that game, which naturally happens over time. Obviously for freelancers, you're not necessarily going to have the same privilege as a permanent member of staff, where they can take their time. They've got maybe 6 months to a year to really digest and understand each element of the game mechanics of every part. So you are having to be much more faster, on your feet, taking things home perhaps, and going over and playing the game in your spare time. So if you have decided that yes, gaming is something I want to explore, then you want to be hitting up those companies, you want to be sending out your CV, you want to be flooding the market, do your research. So some of the key things you want to do, you want to research the company. That this is interview basic. I have found that as a freelance project manager, I don't always need to necessarily research the company, because most of the time they are looking at my skills. They want to know, can I do the job? Can I do what they want me to do? They usually tell me what they need and I tell them what I can do. And if those pieces fit together, then, usually it's a success. So if you were permanent and you want to break into, the industry, then you're definitely going to have to do some kind of research. And of course, talk about the game. Now, this is like the fun part. Talk about the game. Talk about the characters, how you can, relate to some of the characters. Is there a female heroine that you can really relate to? And really just personalize the company to what you value as well. Remember, if you don't have the gaming experience, then relate whatever you see on their website to something that you have done before. A lot of the time on company websites, they like to add case studies to their website. So find some kind of similarity. A lot of case studies mention statistics. They talk about KPIs and impressions and the success stories essentially. So talk about some of your success stories, what you have achieved within your company. It doesn't even need to be within the gaming sector. As long as you can illustrate some real hardcore success stories, then you are illustrating your abilities as a project manager. Remember, project management is also about building relationships. It's about managing costs. It's about timelining, all of these elements embodied into one. One of the things that I have found challenging in gaming is if I haven't played the game. Reason being is because where's the background knowledge? If you were given a brief and it's got specific information about the game mechanics, whether it's, how to play, some of the rules, the leaderboard, different elements, how players interact with one another. If you haven't played the game, then it's going to be really difficult for you to lead kickoff meetings where you're discussing these projects. It's fine to rely on a digital designer, it's fine to rely on, a developer, whoever you're working with, who may have worked on these projects before. But as a project manager, you still want to know these things. It will fill you with much more confidence as well when you're talking to different people, when you're in these kickoff meetings, because you are leading these meetings. So it's really important that you do play the game, you try to understand the different mechanics. A lot of the time I have found there are documentations on the games. So there's documentations on the personalities of the characters. There's actually sites made by fans on specific games. So there's a site called Fandom, and it's a site where anybody can basically upload information about a game, and it's usually quite detailed. And I think what many people don't know is that some of the creative agencies look at the site. Some of the actual creative leads, for example, also look at these sites to gather information on different parts of the game, that things that happened 10 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever, before their time. So it is important to equip yourself with the knowledge of the games once you're in the role. And obviously, if you've got a job interview, then that's the perfect time to really get to know the game and play the game so that you can talk about it more in the job interview. As long as you're showing that enthusiasm, that willingness to learn, and that willingness to go deeper and delve more and more into the game, then that is going to win each and every time. For myself, if I'm in a hiring manager's position and there's somebody that had, experience in gaming, but they lacked enthusiasm, and there was someone that didn't have as much experience, but they were so enthusiastic and they really showed me that they were just willing to just learn and they were willing to hit the ground running. They wanted to, they had an excitement. It's just like, that is contagious. That's the vibe that you want to be around. That will lift up any kind of environment. So those are the people that I would personally want to be around, rather than someone that knows it all, but they're just like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, of course. They're not going to appreciate the role. So how will they talk to the client? How will they communicate with the teams if they lack that enthusiasm? So being enthusiastic at all times. The most important part of being a freelance project manager in gaming is the general project management skills. Building relationships with the team members, really tuning into their feelings. If they're giving you updates and you can tell that they're struggling, then dependent on the kind of project and the kind of company, see if you can get an extension. And there are different ways to solve problems if people are struggling. Have a conversation. Can somebody else help and take on a specific element of a project? What vibe are you giving to your team as a project manager? You are leading from the front, so you want to just make sure that you know what's going on with every element of the project. If there's something that you don't know, you have to ask. Never feel like you have to sit and not ask something, especially as a freelancer, because you're not expected to know everything. I mean, there's certain things that only people that have been at a company for a year, 2 years are going to know. So you have to be humble. You can't be prideful in these situations where, you've been freelancing for a good number of years, but yet you don't necessarily have the background in a specific game. So you don't want to ask because you don't want it to make you look bad. You have to ask. This doesn't make you look bad. This makes you look proactive, and this makes you look like you're focused and you know what the goal is, and you're going to do anything to achieve that goal, whether it means asking questions, whether it means having a catch up with somebody. All these things really do add to your attributes as a project manager. And believe me, it is what the hiring managers love to see. It's what the creatives love to see. Ask questions. So what is it really like to be a project manager in gaming, particularly as a freelancer where you're having to hit the ground running? I would say it is fast paced. I would say it is fun. I love illustration projects. They are one of my favorites. I love the process of them. I love seeing how sketches come to life. I love seeing the process of there being, a concept of 3 different ideas and the client chooses one, and it's just like, okay, this is the one we're going for. And then watching that develop, watching that process, being part of the proofing round. If you're on Instagram and you're following a particular game and you see that they've shared a particular illustration advertising, a different part of the game or a different event happening within that game, you have no idea most of the time what actually went into creating that. You're just like, oh, that's really cool, double click. But the process is so thorough and it's really reactive, and a lot of the times the clients are changing different parts. You're having meetings with the art director to discuss some of these. The art director is then giving the illustrator other creative ideas, and you're listening to that and you're in the room and you're sharing things back with the client. I would definitely say it's one of my favorite sectors of project management. So if you are passionate about project management and you like the idea of taking a deep dive into the gaming industry, then I would highly recommend it. Let me know in the comments if gaming is something that you're interested in. It'd be really good to get your perspective, whether you've been in gaming and you left gaming, or whether you're trying to get into gaming. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much. Speak soon. Bye.